Hi, my friend Uri. Welcome. Thank you to accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for having me on your show. Thank you.
First of all, could you introduce yourself to our followers?
So, my name is Uri Horesh. I am an Israeli citizen, although I'm not very proud of that, as you can imagine. I am currently living in Scotland, in Dundee. I'm a lecturer in Arabic at the University of St. Andrews. I had previously worked at universities in the United States, here in the United Kingdom as well. And just short of 2 years ago, I was fired from my job in an Israeli Institute of Higher Education for my support of Palestine and my condemnation of the genocide in Gaza.
Uri, many Israeli Zionist websites present you as an anti-Zionist Jews intellectual, a supporter of the Palestinian people system, and an advocate of the idea of a scientific boycott of Israel universities to confront the policy of occupation and extermination against the Palestinians.
Yeah. So are you asking for my reaction to that? So I am indeed of Jewish heritage. I do not consider myself Jewish. I think Judaism is a religion, and I'm devoid of any religion. I'm an atheist, but I do have Jewish ancestry, and I'm quite interested in the history of both Jews and Palestinians and the way that they used to interact in a much more productive way in Palestine. I am indeed anti-Zionist. I am indeed an avid supporter of the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement. I have been involved in BDS activities since my days as a student in the United States many years ago. And when BDS began to crystallize as a political movement, I was a part of that as well. And to this day, I believe that this is one way of putting pressure upon not just the Israeli government, but the Israeli public as well, Israeli intellectuals, Israeli artists, to see what the world is seeing and to see how the actions and even the inactions of many Israelis is detrimental to any kind of not just peaceful life, but any kind of meaningful life for the people in the region.
Uri, what is your reading of the support of the Palestinian cause in most universities around the world and the repression of the students' movement?
In the past year and a half, well, it's actually it started a lot longer than a year and a half ago, to be honest. I mean, we've seen, of course, since this chapter of genocide in Gaza has begun in October of 2023, we've seen a rise, I think, in two things. One is we have seen how young people around the world, I am particularly familiar with what's going on in the United Kingdom, the United States, to some degrees France and Germany. So on the one hand, we have students and faculty members, staff, showing more support than ever towards the Palestinian cause, the Palestinian people, really. But on the other hand, we've also seen these repercussions. We've seen how university administrations, again, across the West, have been trying to shake down any kind of protest, any kind of, not just protest, but any kind of expressions of sympathy and empathy with the Palestinian people. This is the problem here, is not only that there is a very strong Zionist and Israeli lobby that has been influencing universities and governments, by the way, but also that there is a complete denial, and there's the denial of viewing this issue as a humanitarian issue, right? The students and the staff across these universities, and in some, since BDS is not just about academic boycott, it's also about cultural boycott. I must add that this is going on among performers, actors, artists. Any kind of expression of solidarity with the Palestinian people really is solidarity with the Palestinians as human beings. And this is being completely ignored. I would say willfully ignored. And this is what really bugs me, right? It bugs me that we are accused of things like anti-Semitism. Now, anti-Semitism is completely antithetical to what all of us as protesters, as sympathizers with the Palestinian cause, believe in at the core, right? Anti-Semitism is exactly the same as any other as any other kind of bigotry, right? Anti-Semitism is akin to Islamophobia. It's akin to homophobia and transphobia, right? It's not something that you will hear from the people that I have been around in all of our protests, in all of our teach-ins, in all of our activities that have been both political and educational. We are all against any kind of discrimination amongst human beings. To call us anti-Semites is not just an insult. I actually don't take it as a personal insult, but I just think that it is an expression of ignorance. And to be honest with you, I am not quite sure that all of these accusations that we hear about, pro-Palestinian activists being anti-Semites or being pro-terrorist, I don't think that most of the people who make these accusations actually believe in them. I think they are using them as a very cheap kind of weapon to discredit the actual humanitarian work that we are doing. So when we hear from governments and from universities and from, let's say, film festivals, publishers, any kind of governing body that deals with cultural production, when we hear from them that we are kind of personae non gratae, that we are contaminating the cultural world with all of these evils, I know in my heart that it is wrong, and I know in my heart that at least at the higher echelons of decision making, they do not and cannot believe these accusations, right? And we see, just one final word, I know you have more questions, but one final word about this. In recent months, we've seen two kinds of responses in the United States, for instance, to Donald Trump's executive orders and withholding of funds from universities for all kinds of reasons. Some universities like Columbia have just caved in. Some universities like Harvard have put on a fight. But what they fail to acknowledge is that it's not just a matter of Trump versus the Democrats. It's not just a matter of Netanyahu versus whatever so-called opposition he has in Israel. we are talking about a much larger picture that needs to be addressed, a much larger problem needs to be addressed, right? And what we see from Trump and what we see from Netanyahu and what we currently see in the UK from Keir Starmer, these are just symptoms of a much larger problem where the people are not being heard. And it is particularly the people, the rank and file of people, regular people, just you and me. I know I'm an academic. I have I can put doctor in front of my name, but I'm still just a regular person, living a regular life. People like us are not being heard. It's people who hold the helms of money and capital, who are really controlling what's going on. I don't want to get into the whole issue of capitalism as the root of the problem, but it really is, right? So we're talking about criticism against Palestinians, against people who sympathize with Palestine, but it has nothing to do with all of the accusations that we are accused of. It has nothing to do with terrorism, nothing to do with anti-Semitism, nothing to do with any kind of bigotry. The bigots are the people who are trying to suppress our voices. Not from it's not coming from our end. It's coming towards us.
Uri, today many consider that the West, by providing logistical and moral support to Israel and silencing voice in defense of Palestine, are complicit in the genocide in Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's obvious. It goes without saying. I mean, if we think of the big powers, if you think of the United States first and foremost, I mean, Israel could not do anything without the billions and billions of dollars that the United States has been providing the Israeli government, right? Just on a regular basis, before the current acts of genocide have begun, the U.S. was funneling $3 to $4 billion of military support to Israel, and this has increased tenfold, if not more, since the genocide has been exacerbated. So that's one thing. But even just the lack of support. So there is money coming into Israel. There is political support, but even just the lack of support and the lack of acknowledgement of the Palestinian people and their suffering is, in fact, an act that is complicit with genocide. You cannot sit idly by and watch a genocide, right? It's not enough to call out a genocide, but that's the first step. It's definitely not in anyone's interest to deny the fact that a genocide is going on. And it is even worse when you deny the genocide and support the people committing the genocide at the same time, both morally and financially. So yes, of course there is Western complicit. The West at large is complicit in the genocide. You could argue that there's a difference between an Israeli Air Force pilot who is actively dropping tons and tons of bombs and actively destroying hospitals and homes and killing human beings, including children. Between them and just the people who sit, in suits and cheer them on. But the people in suits don't just cheer them on. It's not a football match, right? They cheer them on and they provide billions and billions, it's soon going to be trillions, if you ask me, of dollars to actually facilitate the genocide. So yeah, I don't see how you can, how anyone could argue that they are not complicit.
Uri, today with the Israel society sliding toward radicalism, is it easy for someone like you to be Jews and anti-Zionist?
I have I have no choice but to be anti-Zionist. And I have been, you know, in a way, you could argue that I've been fortunate not to be present in Israel during these past 18 months or even longer than that. I communicate with friends of mine, with family members of mine who are anti-Zionists and who still live among Israelis within Israeli society, and I know how difficult it is for them. It's much easier for me to be here in Scotland and talk about these things, and you know, I deliberately have not even attempted to go back home. I know that my voice would be silenced, and I am not one who would allow one's voice to be silenced. I'm not willing to do that. People like me have been arrested, have been put in jail in Israel. That's not something that I would want to do. I mean, I could do it at, you know, to make a point, but I think it's much, you know, it would be much more productive if I stay put and keep talking the way that I talk and keep doing the things that I do. But yes, if you're asking about being an anti-Zionist within Israeli society, it has never been easy. It has always been considered kind of being an outcast, but it is virtually impossible nowadays. People, I mean, I'm very proud of my friends and comrades who still who live there and still express their solidarity with the Palestinian people, but I do not envy them. It is a very, very difficult life to live.
My friend Marcon attempts to I want to leave you with a final word to Palestinian people.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I am an Israeli citizen. I am a product of the Israeli education system. I grew up there, so I cannot deny the responsibility that even I, who have been very outspoken against the Israeli actions and against the occupation, against colonialism, I have a responsibility as well, right? So so I can offer my humble apologies, but I know that doesn't go anywhere, right? And I know that I cannot apologize on behalf of nearly 8 million Israelis who support genocide, right? I'd love to be able to apologize on their behalf, but I cannot. I would also like to have a message of optimism, but I don't. I truly don't. I mean, you know, my late mother, who was very supportive of the Palestinian cause as well, you know, she when I was young, she said, "I hope you'll never have to go to the army. I hope my grandchildren will never have to go to the army." The army is still there. Israel still recruits its young people to the military. So yes, I would like all of that to happen. I would like the Israeli state as it is now to cease to exist, and we need to start over, right, with equality and with respect towards everyone, and acknowledgement of the wrongdoings that my people have done to the Palestinians. But I cannot tell you in good faith that this is going to happen tomorrow or next year or in the next decade. I hear a lot of optimism among people nowadays. People are saying Israel is losing its credibility across the world. But as we just said a few minutes ago, Israel may be losing a lot of its credibility among, I would say, millions and millions of regular people across the world. But it's still those with power, those who hold the capital, the money, those who decide who gets funded, who are still very adamantly supportive of Israel. So, if we go back to the question of boycott, divestment, and sanction, I think the role that we have as, you said intellectuals, I'm not sure I like the word, but yeah, people who are educated, people who are educating, people who provide culture, right? We're talking about actors and writers and authors and poets, in addition to academics. I think it's important that people like us who have some kind of social capital, right? If not monetary capital, at least we have some kind of ideological capital. Some people look up to us and say, oh, here are people who are thinking, who have good ideas. If we lead the movement and if we make Israeli academics and artists and singers and musicians unwelcome on the global stage, then we're moving at least one tiny step forward. What I think we cannot do is to let go of our struggle, right? We can argue that our struggle isn't going fast enough, it isn't going far enough, but it's going somewhere, and it's going at some pace towards the right direction, as-sirat al-mustaqim, right? So we cannot stop doing what we're doing. We need to get more people to do what we're doing in order for us, those who have been activists for many, many years, not to let go. So someone like me who teaches at a university needs to have my students know what I'm doing. Not in order to indoctrinate them. I would never stand in class and say, you must do so-and-so. But my students see what I do. They see that I protest. They see what I write outside of the classroom. And I know that inspires some of them. So that's something that we need to continue doing. And if we have a new generation of activists, then perhaps there is some hope for a better future.
My friend, my brother, thank you very much for accepting the invitation. Thank you. Happy to find you. Shukran.
I'll just say one final word. I mean, it was very important for me as a teenager in Israel to learn Arabic. I didn't know at the time that it would become my profession, right? But I had this naive thought that if all of us at least spoke the language of the region, we would be able to communicate. Sadly, that's not enough. But the fact that that you and I can speak the same language, right? Not just a foreign language like English, but that we can speak Arabic, I think indicates something. And I've devoted my life to teaching Arabic and I mean my professional life teaching Arabic and doing research on Arabic. I think that's part and parcel of what we're doing, right? And I'm not one of those people who are teaching Arabic in order for people to be spies and go to the CIA. No, I want them to learn Arabic in order for them to communicate with Arabs. And I'm really very proud of some of my students who tell me that they've been going to Palestine and Jordan and around the Arab world and communicating with people. So that's my little tiny modest contribution.
Thank you very much, Uri. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Salam. Salam alaikum.